So for a while now, I've really been getting into PC building, and I finally got an opportunity. You see, about a month ago, I accidentally broke some of my pins in my motherboard, and if you know anything about PC building, you know that that is very very bad. But just get a new motherboard, so you might say. That was also initially the plan, but that was not even everything. You see, a lot of other obstacles occurred after this little incident. Well, fast forward, I now have a fully functional PC and an empty wallet by the way, and I would like you to join me on my journey as I go through the process of finding the new parts, learning a lot of valuable lessons, and building my first era PC. Kind of, I got a lot of help from my dad, so shout out to him. I would love to hear about your builds too, so if you could comment down below what specs your PC has, that would be great. But without further ado, let's begin.
So imagine that this black screen is our fictional workbench. First, we're just going to build a quick little fictional PC. First, we're going to need something that can control our PC. That is where the CPU comes in. So the CPU, or Central Processing Unit's job is to tell what the other components in the PC needs to do. It's also the component that is responsible for running all your programs and games on your PC. Think of it just like a brain. Next up, we have the GPU, or Graphics Processing Unit. This part's job is to render your graphics and then display them onto your screen. If you have a good GPU, you'll be able to play games at high resolutions and high FPS. That's why most gamers prioritize buying a good high-end GPU. So next up, we need something that can store all of our files and programs on the PC. That is why we have storage devices. So these storage devices can come in 3 different forms: hard drives, SSDs, and NVMe's. So hard drives are the slowest, but it's also the cheapest, and that is why most people use them as an extra drive on the PC. Next up, we have SSDs, or solid state drives. Those are faster than the hard drives, but also a little bit more expensive. Some people use these as the main drive, but many people use them as an extra drive. Finally, we have the NVMe's. Those are the fastest and most expensive type of storage device. People always use these as their main boot drive for the operating system and all the main programs to ensure that the PC has fast and quick boot times. When playing a game or program, the PC will receive a lot of information from these applications. That's why you need RAM. RAM, or random access memory, stores all the temporary data from the programs you are using and send this directly to a CPU, so the CPU can pull it out of the RAM really fast. The more RAM you have, the more multitasking you'll be able to do. Now that we have some of the main components, we need something to plug them all together. That's why we have the motherboard. So the motherboard works just like our nerve system. It sends signals from the CPU, or the brain as I like to call it, out to the other components. A good motherboard often comes with built-in Wi-Fi, a lot of NVMe slots, and a lot of USB ports on the back and USB headers to the front panel. So if you get a good high-end motherboard, there will be a lot of connectivity with that motherboard. When looking for a motherboard, you will also try to look for a motherboard with good cooling. So good cooling on a motherboard means that the motherboard has some huge heat sinks that can dissipate the heat away from the CPU. Another important thing is compatibility. Let's say if you have a Ryzen 5 3600. This CPU is on the platform AM4, then you will need a motherboard that has the socket AM4. To boot up the PC, you will need a power supply. The power supply is pretty self-explanatory. It takes electricity out of your outlet and then converts it into power for your PC. It is important to buy a power supply with an appropriate amount of wattage so it can boot up your PC. If your power supply can't supply enough wattage, the PC won't be able to boot up. The quality of the power supply is also very important, because a low quality power supply has a higher risk of burning down your PC, melting the cables, or frying some of the components. Running the CPU will be able to get very hot, and I mean very hot. And to fix that problem, we need a CPU cooler. So the CPU cooler can come in 3 different forms: air cooling, liquid cooling, and AIOs. Air cooling works by having a huge heat sink with fans blowing fresh and cold air on the heat sink to cool down the heat that is taken away from the CPU. Those are very effective and also very cheap. Next up, we have liquid cooling, where you can build a custom loop that will transfer the heat away from the CPU with the help of water and then cool it down in a massive radiator. This is very expensive to do and requires a lot of experience, but it also looks fantastic in the PC. Next up, we have the most popular choice, and that is AIOs. So AIOs is a mix between air cooling and liquid cooling, and it's not as expensive as liquid cooling, but it still looks great. That's why this is the most popular choice between most people. Finally, we have the case. The case is just like our skin or something like that. Every PC component goes into the case, and the case protects the parts. Many people prefer an aesthetic case with glass side panels so we can enjoy the beautiful build inside. But another important thing is airflow. Airflow is when a PC can take in a lot of fresh air and push a lot of the hot air in the PC out. If you have a lot of case fans that are high quality, it will help your case's airflow tremendously. I just have a little disclaimer, some PC parts are a little bit more pricier in Denmark than in the US, so don't be surprised if some of the parts seem a little bit overpriced to you. So some of the parts in the new PC was from my old PC because I was on a little bit of a budget and I still had some good components. Some of the components I used from the old PC, which was an Acer Nitro 5640 rebuild by the way. I used the GPU, which is an RTX 3060. This is one of the most popular graphics cards for gaming according to the Steam survey, and it's a great card for 1080p and some light 1440p gaming. And since I'm playing Valorant, it should handle its job pretty well. It has a lot of NVIDIA features like ray tracing and DLSS, and some good encoders for when I'm live streaming or doing other content creation. This GPU is probably worth around 1,500 Danish crowns, but if you buy this card brand new, it costs 2,200 crowns. It's an OEM blower style card produced by Predator, which is owned by Acer by the way. I also took the CPU from the old PC, which is an Intel Core i5-12400F. Whoa, that was lots of numbers I must say. The CPU is worth around 500 crowns and it reaches at about 900 Danish crowns. It's very efficient with low power use. It's perfect for gaming with some light multitasking with its 6 cores and 12 threads. This will be more than enough, I think, for when I'm video editing and gaming. And I will also be able to upgrade it later on to an i9 14th gen, for example. I also used an old 512GB M.2 NVMe SSD from Kingston, which is worth around 200 crowns. Brand new, this component costs about 400 crowns. This is an NVMe SSD. With this, I will be able to have really fast boot speeds, and so booting up Windows and my programs will be a breeze. So that was all the parts I used from my old build. My dad also actually had some parts because he also loves PC building and he often built his own PC. So I got to use some of his own old parts. So my dad, he gave me a Corsair RM750X, and this is a PSU with pretty much high quality with a maximum of 750 wattage. It will be more than enough for my system, and it has all the cables I need with even more connectors for future upgrades. So with this PSU, there's almost no chance for my PC to be fried, and it retails at about 750 Danish crowns. Will also be great for future proofing, and I can actually upgrade my system to a 4070 system, so that will be great for the future. My dad also had two 500GB SSDs, not NVMe's but just SSDs, so now I have a lot of storage for all my games and video projects like this video right here. So the brand new price of these two combined is around 336 crowns. My dad also had 5 case fans I could use to get some better airflow, but sadly one of them didn't work, and I also ended up removing another because it was being too loud. So this will improve my airflow a lot. While I was able to save a lot of money by reusing some components, since I was on a tight budget, this was really great. Though the rest of the parts I ended up buying new or used. So now I just needed a motherboard, RAM, case, and a CPU cooler. The case I bought is from a company called Dutso, and it's called the 420GG. It's a nice case with some good airflow, and it's going to fit all the components I have. I don't think it's available in the US though, so if you want it, I don't know if be able to get your hands on it. It cost me 300 Danish crowns, so that was actually a good deal because it's small and compact but still has great space for all my components. This was a great budget option which allowed me to have space for all the parts I needed while also having great airflow. It also has a glass side panel so we can admire that beautiful PC when we're done with it. Next up, the motherboard. So I got an Gigabyte C790 Aorus Elite AX. Oh damn, that was hard to say, but some of you might say that this is a little bit of an overkill for my CPU, which was an i5 12400F by the way, and that I should just have saved some money for a cheaper chipset instead. But normally this motherboard costs 1,750 Danish crowns. And I got it for only 900 Danish crowns, so that was a really good deal. This motherboard got a high-end chipset, has 4 NVMe slots, 6 SATA ports, a lot of Gen 3 USB, and supports Wi-Fi 60E. So this would be great for when I'm upgrading in the future. For the RAM, I originally wanted to use my old DDR4 RAM, but since this motherboard supported DDR5, I also needed to get some new RAM. For that, I got some T-Group T-Force RAM, 32 gigs with a frequency of 7200 MHz and a CS latency of 34. With this, streaming and video editing will feel like a breeze, and it will feel so smooth, not gonna lie. I bought this RAM kit for around 600 Danish crown used by the way, and brand new the price for this RAM kit is 1,000 Danish crowns. Finally, we need a CPU cooler, and originally I wanted to just take this stock cooler from my people, but I ended up actually going with a Attic Freezer 36. It has a TDP of 290 watts, and this will be more than enough to cool a CPU that has a default TDP of 65 watts. And it will also be great for when I'm upgrading my CPU because it will still be able to cool them somehow nice and good enough. I bought the cooler for around 100 Danish crowns, which is priced as cheap as brand new at a price of 300 Danish crowns. Now enough of the boring talk. Let's get going.
Nice.
So now we have set up everything to test mode our PC. So we got the monitor here to see, our mouse and keyboard peripherals. Everything is ready, and let's just try to boot it up. Just do this the way. Okay. Oh shit, guys! I didn't move. Wait. Shit. I'm actually kind of cooked. So yeah, that was my bad on my part. So hopefully it boot up now that we have the power switch turned on. Yo! Wait! That's actually lit, bro! It's alive! Look guys! It's alive! Look at the RGB! Beautiful. So beautiful. Very beautiful. Everything now that the PC is booted, I have downloaded Windows and updated all my drivers, like internet drivers and graphics drivers, so we're good to go. I also went into the BIOS and set up the custom fan curve so my PC stays nice and silent but also still stays cool. And I remember to put my RAM at that 7200 megahertz speed that I have. So we are actually ready for gaming now, the PC. If there's one thing I would say about this journey, I would say it was very exciting, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you have any feedback on my specs, feel free to comment down below. But we're reaching the end, and who knows, maybe I'll use this experience to maybe get a new PC in the future, because I thought this was a really fun experience. But yeah, I think this was an insane experience, and I highly recommend that you try to build your own PC if you have the money and the time. It's a very fun and interesting experience, and I learned a lot of things by the way. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like to boost it into the algorithm. Also make sure to hit that sub button and the notification bell to get the latest updates from my channel. And if you want to see more of me, you can always tune in on my weekly stream, Twitch streams, where I stream my Valorant ranked gameplay. If you have any questions or want to share some of your own PC build discussions, I would love to talk down in the comment section. But there's nothing so much else to say, so but that's going to be it for today, I guess, and I'll see you next time. Bye!